Dear students, so we are starting with our unit number 2, that is single degree of freedom system, forced vibration, and our lecture 11 in dynamics of machinery, and first lecture in case of the unit 2, that is forced damped vibration with constant harmonic excitation. And today we are going to see the analytical method which is used to find out the force damped vibration with constant excitation. There are two methods. One is analytical method and one is graphical method. So today we are going to deal with the analytical method of force damped vibration with constant harmonic excitation. So let us start with our chapter. So introduction to forced vibration. Now if a system vibrates, under the influence of external periodic force, if a system vibrates under the influence of external periodic force, or we can say it is force, or we can say excitation. So if your system is vibrates under influence of external periodic force, then the vibration is known as forced vibration. Now there should be a periodic force, and that is nothing but the external periodic force. Now in force vibration, there is an impressed force acting on a system which keeps the body or a system vibrating because of continuous external periodic force. Because of that, so there will be a body or a system which keeps vibrating until and unless that external force cannot be removed. So there are examples of force vibration. So the examples of force vibration are air compressor, then IC engine, turbines, pumps. So these are the some examples. Other examples are the oscillations of tall chimney, the oscillation of tall chimney due to vortex shading in steady wind. So this is another example of forced vibration. Now, the force vibration, in the force vibration, the system are carefully designed and manufactured. Still, there are some unbalanced force. Still, there are some unbalanced force. In case of force vibration, we are very much carefully design and manufacture these systems or body or a component, but still there are some unbalanced force acting on such system which acts as a harmonic excitation force, which acts as a harmonic excitation force. Because of that unbalanced force, it acts as a harmonic excitation force. Now, the applied force or displacement excitation, it may be harmonic or it may be non-harmonic, but it is periodic, non-periodic, and random in nature. Some of the forces are periodic, some of the forces are non-periodic, and some of the forces are random in nature. So the applied force or a displacement excitation, they may be harmonic force or they may be non-harmonic force. So, but the harmonic force or non-harmonic force, it may be periodic force, it may be non-periodic force, or it may be a random force. Now, what is meant by non-harmonic force? So, a non-periodic excitation, in case of non-periodic excitation, it may have long or short duration. It may have, in case of non-periodic excitation, it may have long or short excitation. The response of the system to a harmonic excitation is called as harmonic response. What is the response of the system? That is, we have already stated that the response of the system, it is nothing but the displacement versus time curve, or velocity versus time curve, or acceleration versus time curve. So it is an response of the system. So that response of the system to the harmonic excitation, or we can say to the harmonic force, is called as harmonic response. And the response of the dynamic system to suddenly applied non-periodic excitation. These are the non-periodic excitation. So that type of response is called as transient response. So that type of response is called as transient response. So there are two types of response. One is harmonic response and another is transient response. So transient response is the response of dynamic system to a suddenly applied non-periodic excitation. And if the excitation is harmonic excitation which is constant, so that type of response is called as harmonic response. Now this is about some introduction to the force vibration. So today we are going to start our first point in this force vibration. That is, this is our first point, that is force damped vibration with constant harmonic excitation. Force damped vibration with constant harmonic excitations, or we can say force damped vibration with constant harmonic force or excitation. So the harmonic excitation force which is commonly produced because of the unbalance in rotating motion. It is produced because of unbalances in rotating motion. What is the harmonic excitation force which are commonly produced by the unbalance in the rotating machines? So let us start with our example. So consider a spring, mass and damper system. So this is the damped vibration. So force damped vibration consists of all these three elements. So consider a system having spring, mass, damper system which is excited by an harmonic force. So this is your harmonic force, and this harmonic force is your periodic because it is consists of a time t. So consider a system having spring, mass, damper system excited by an harmonic force F0 sine of omega t as shown in figure. So I will show that figure where F0 is called as your magnitude of external harmonic force. What is F0 is your magnitude of external excitation of harmonic force or external exciting harmonic force. So that magnitude of force is in Newton. That is unit of that external excitation force, which is harmonic force. It is in Newton. And your omega, this omega, there is no omega n, there is no omega d. So this is omega, simply omega. So omega is circular natural frequency, or sorry, natural frequency not. It is circular frequency of external excitation force or external exciting harmonic force. What is this omega? Omega is circular frequency of external exciting harmonic force. And unit, we know that the natural frequency of unit, that is circular frequency, unit is radian per second. So it is omega. Now up till now we have seen the term omega n, that is natural frequency, that is circular natural frequency. Then we have seen the omega d, that is circular natural frequency of damped vibration, or we can say circular damped frequency. And this omega is your circular frequency of external excitation force, or the circular frequency of external exciting harmonic force. So we are going to start with your figure. So modeling of that spring mass and damper system. So this is the modeling of spring mass damper system. So there is a spring having stiffness K. There is a damper having damping coefficient C and mass M, that is body or system having mass M. Now, in case of free vibration, there is no this force. It is acting on that system. That is external force F0 sine of omega t. But in case of force vibration, there is always the external force F0 sine of omega t. Now, in case of free vibration, we are giving some initial displacement by applying some external force, and after that we are removing that force. But in that case, in force vibration, we are giving a continuous external excitation force to the system. So there is a spring, then there is a mass or a body having mass and damper having damping coefficient C. So this is your equilibrium position or mean position of the system. Now let the mass is displaced from its mean position to extreme position after time t. So if we displace mass from mean position to the displaced position, then the spring is in tension, then damper is also in tension, because this lower TDC it becomes bottom dead center, it becomes top dead centers. So there is also displacement. Now the mass, now at displaced position, we have to consider the forces. Now displacement is in downward direction, so velocity is also in downward direction, and acceleration, that is x double dot, is also in downward direction. Now what are the forces acting on the system at any time t? So there are 4 forces. Now in case of free vibration, there will be 3 forces, that is free damped vibration, but in case of this force damped vibration, there will be the 4 forces. Now first force is your inertia force, that is mx double dot. Now this inertia force is opposite to acceleration. We know that inertia force having magnitude mass into acceleration. So mass is m, acceleration is x double dot, and its direction is opposite to the acceleration. So opposite to acceleration. Now acceleration is in downward side, so the inertia force is in upward side. So this is our first force, that is inertia force. Now the second force is your spring force. Now the spring force has magnitude k into x. The spring force has magnitude k into x, and direction is opposite to the displacement. So displacement is in downward side, so the spring force is in upward side. So this is about spring force. Now third type of force is your damping force, that is Cx dot. The third type of force is your damping force Cx dot. That is C into velocity, damping force per unit velocity, that is nothing but your damping coefficient, and that damping force is nothing but the damping coefficient into velocity. So Cx dot. This is the magnitude of damping force, and what is the direction? It is opposite to the motion or opposite to the velocity. Now velocity is also in downward side, so this force is in upward side. Now we have applied some external force, that is F0 sine of omega t in downward direction. So that force will be same, that is F0 sine of omega t in downward direction. So this is the free body diagram of spring mass system, spring mass damper system, which is excited by external excitation force F0 sine of omega t. So this is your free body diagram. Now at any instant, when the mass is displaced from equilibrium position, the forces are acting on the system are shown in figure C, that is free body diagram of the mass or FBD of the mass. So these are the four forces. So according to the D'Alembert's principle, so there are four forces. So first one is, now we are taking upward force as positive, that is direction of inertia force as positive. So these are positive forces. So inertia force is positive, then the damping force is also positive, and the spring force is also positive. And your external excitation force, it is in downward direction, so it is negative. So if we take according to the D'Alembert's principle or according to the inertia equilibrium method, that is algebraic sum of all inertia force plus external force must be equals to 0. So after that we get the equation, that is inertia force is mx double dot. Now this is in upward direction, so it is positive. Then damping force is cx dot, it is also positive, plus kx. So spring force is also in upward direction, so it is also positive. And your external excitation force, that is harmonic force F0 sine of omega t, it is in downward direction, so we have taken as negative, so which is equals to 0. So we will taken that F0 sine of omega t to right hand side. So we get mx double dot plus cx dot plus kx is equals to F0 sine of omega t. Now there is difference between free vibration and force vibration. In case of free vibration, this right hand term becomes 0, and in case of force vibration, this right hand term having force, that is F0 sine of omega t. This is in case of harmonic motion, that is external harmonic motion. So this mx double dot plus cx dot plus kx is equals to F0 sine of omega t. This is equation number 1. We will treat that as equation number 1. Now this equation number 1 is linear equation and also second order differential equation, because there is term x double dot, that is d2x upon dt square. So this is second order differential equation. So because of introducing of forcing term, the solution consists of two parts. The solution of this equation number 1 consists of two parts, and it is given by x is equals to xc plus xp. What is the solution of this equation, that is mx double dot plus cx dot plus kx is equals to F0 sine of omega t. It is linear equation and second order differential equation. So solution of this equation consists of two parts, and these two parts are given by x is equals to xc plus xp, xc plus xp. So these are the two parts of whole solution, that is x is equals to xc plus xp, where the part xc is called as complementary function and where the part xp is called as particular integral function. So we will take one by one. So we will starting with our first part, that is the complementary function. That is the complementary function xc. We are starting with our first part, that is complementary function. Now the complementary function is obtained by considering no forcing function. It is obtained by considering no forcing function. Means we have to not consider the external excitation force, or this is the forcing function. So this forcing function, it should be neglected or it should be equals to 0. So by considering that force, that is forcing function, as 0, we get a complementary function that is called as xc. So from equation number 1, if we consider, if we not consider this force, that is forcing force, so our equation becomes mx dot plus cx dot plus kx is equals to 0. This is equation number third. Now, if we see this equation mx dot plus cx dot plus kx is equals to 0, this is same equation which is obtained in case of damped-free vibration. It is same equation. Mx double dot plus cx dot plus kx is equals to 0. This is the same equation which is obtained in case of pre-damped vibration. So this is our complementary function equation. Now we know that the solution of this equation. So there are three methods to solve that equation. So one is over damped system, another is critically damped system, then another is under damped system. So these are the three systems from which we can solve this displacement function, that is x, or that part of function it is called as xc. So we will start with complementary function, that is mx double dot plus cx dot plus kx is equals to 0. So this is an equation which is same as that of diabatic or damp-free vibration system. Now solution of equation 3 in case of under damped system. I will talk with under damped system because over damped system is our non-vibratory system. Critically damped system is also a non-vibratory system. So only vibratory system is your under damped system. So we are considering with under damped system. Now this x is denoted by xc in case of complementary function, and because of there are two parts of that solution, so we will take for first part as xc. So we will take this x as x1. We will starting with x0 as x1. So xc is equals to x1 e raised to minus zeta omega n t sine of omega dt, and again there is a phi 1 term. There is again term phi 1. So if we put the value of omega d as square root of 1 minus zeta square into omega n, so we get your complementary function in case of under damped system as xc is equals to x1 e raised to minus zeta omega n t sine of square root of 1 minus zeta square into omega n t plus phi 1, where xc is complementary function of x of equation number 1. Zeta is your damping ratio or damping factor. Zeta is damping ratio or damping factor. Omega d is natural circular frequency of damp-free vibration. What is omega d? Is natural circular frequency of damp-free vibration, and omega n is natural circular frequency of undamped free vibration. And your xn, x1 and phi 1 are the constant which is to be determined from initial condition. Now we know that the initial condition, that is at t is equals to 0, x is equals to 0, and at t is equals to 0, x dot is equals to 0. Sorry, at t is equals to 0, x is equals to x1, and at t is equals to 0, x dot is equals to 0. So these are the initial condition. Now from that we can find out the value of x1 and phi 1. Now there is important note. So that note is the complementary function xc, it is based on the system is being under damped system. This complementary function xc is based on the system being under damped system. If in case of over damped system or critically damped system, the above equation, that is equation number 4, will be changed accordingly. So we know that solution for over damped system and solution for critically damped system. So accordingly, that solution will be, that complementary function will be changed if we change the system. Either we take over damped system or either we take critically damped system. But now in this problem, or in this condition we are taking underdamped system. So this is about first part of your solution, that is complementary function, and this all complementary function part is covered in our first unit. So now next is the second part of your equation, that is solution of equation number 1, that is mx double dot plus cx dot plus kx is equals to f0 sine omega t. So that is xp, second part of solution, that is known as particular integral. So we will start with second part of solution, that is particular integral, and this part of solution it is denoted by xp, that is the particular integral. Now the second part is the particular integral, which can be obtained by following two methods. So there are two methods to obtain this particular integral. So first method is your analytical method and second method is graphical method. So there are two methods to obtain the particular integral of your equation mx double dot plus cs dot plus kx is equals to f0 sine of omega t. So first method is your analytical method. So this analytical method is also called as differential equation method. And the second is your graphical method. So we will start with our first method to find out our particular integral. So that is nothing but the analytical method. Now in today's lecture we are going to see only this analytical method. In next lecture we are going to start with your graphical method. Now let us start with your analytical method, that is also called as the differential equation method. Now what is this method? So I will start. Now because of there is constant harmonic force, so the particular integral can be write in the form of simple harmonic motion. It is right in the form of simple harmonic motion, because any vibratory system it has a solution in case of simple harmonic motion. So the particular integral is in the form of simple harmonic motion and it is given by xp. xp is equals to x. xp is equals to x sine of omega t minus phi. Sine of omega t minus phi. So what is this xp? xp is your particular integral of x. Then capital X is your amplitude of steady state vibration. This is amplitude of steady state vibration. It is important. X is called as amplitude of steady state vibration. And phi is the angle by which two vectors, one is displacement vector, lags the force vector. Phi is the angle by which the displacement vector lags the force vector, and it is also called as phase angle or phase difference. Now if you draw the vector form of this equation, that is xp is equals to x sine of omega t minus phi. So there are for phase angle there are two types of vector. One is force vector, which is denoted by f0. So f0 is your constant harmonic force. So this is your force vector, and another vector is your displacement vector. So it is denoted by capital X. Now we know that this displacement vector from reference line. So these are the reference line, x, reference axis x. This is reference axis s. This is reference axis y, and this is origin O. So if we draw the displacement vector, so we have to draw the displacement vector x is at omega t minus phi. This is your angle, omega t minus phi. So we have drawn the displacement vector from reference axis at an angle of omega d omega t minus phi. Now, what is force vector? Now, if we consider force vector, that is external force, there is term F0 sine of omega t only. There is term F0 sine of omega t. So your angle is only omega t. So the force vector we are drawing at an angle of omega t from reference vector. So this is angle of omega t, that is force vector we are drawing at an angle of omega t from reference axis. So this angle is omega t, this angle is omega t minus phi. So the difference, that is angle by which the force vector, the displacement vector is lags of force vector, and that angle is phi. So this is our phase angle or phase difference. So this is a very important diagram, because your external force having magnitude, it is f0, and angle is your sine omega t. So angle is your omega t. So that angle is considered from reference axis, x-axis omega t to force vector. Similarly, if we consider the particular integral, it is in the form of xp is equals to x sine of omega t minus phi. So omega t minus phi, it is nothing but the angle of your displacement vector, that is x. So that is omega t minus phi, and the phi is your phase difference or phase angle. It is nothing but the angle by which displacement vector lags. So this is lags behind the force vector, or we can say the phase angle is the angle by which force vector is above the displacement vector. Lag or lead, the force vector will be lead to the displacement vector by an angle of phi. So either it may be, we can take lead or lag. So this is about the particular integral in the form. Now let us start with our method, that is analytical method. So this diagram shows the vector representation of your particular integral, that is xp is equals to x sine of omega t minus. Now this is equation number 5, that is xp is equals to x sine of omega t minus phi. This is equation number 5. Now this is differential equation method. So we have to differentiate the value of xp with respect to t. So we are going to differentiate equation number 5 with respect to t. So we get now xp, d by dt of xp is equals to d by dt of x sine of omega t minus phi. So we have differentiated. Now we know that d by dt of xp, it is nothing but the xp dot. That is nothing but the particular velocity, xp dot, which is equals to, now x is the common term, sine of omega t minus phi. The derivative of sine of omega t minus phi is cos omega t minus phi. And again, the derivative of this term, that is omega t minus phi with respect to t. So phi is constant, so it is 0. So omega t, derivative of omega t is omega. So it is omega x cos of omega t minus phi. So this is equation number 6. Now this cos term, it can be written in sine term also. So only we have to add plus pi by 2. So if we add plus pi by 2 in cos equation, that becomes a sine equation. So this is another form of equation, that is xp is equals to omega x sine of omega t minus phi plus pi by 2. Now this is equation number 6. Now if we again differentiate equation number 6 with respect to t, so that is nothing but the d2x upon dt square, that is d2xp upon dt square is equals to d by dt of omega x cos of omega t minus phi. Now cos the derivative, it is minus sine, so minus term is there, sine of omega t minus phi. Now omega x constant, but again derivative of omega t minus phi is omega, so it is becomes minus omega x sine of omega t minus phi. Now this minus sign can be removed by adding term pi. This minus sign can be removed by adding term pi. So if we remove that minus sign, so the equation becomes xp double dot is equals to omega square sine of omega t minus phi plus pi, that is plus angle 180 degree. Okay, so these are the, by differentiating the equation number 5, that is xp, we get xp dot and we get xp double dot. So we have to substitute all these value xp, xp dot, xp double dot in your equation number 1. Now what is equation number 1? That is mx double dot plus kx, cx dot plus kx is equals to f0 sine of omega. So this is our equation number 1. So we have to put all these values. So we'll starting with our first. Now what is your first term? It is m. Now second term m xp double dot. Now what is the value of xp double dot? Minus omega square x sine of omega t minus pi. This is our equation number 7. Next c x dot. Now what is value of x dot? X dot is omega x cos of omega t minus pi. And what is value of k into x? Now value of x is, that is xp is x sine of omega t minus phi, which is equals to f0 sine of omega t. Now if we multiply by m, c and k, so we get minus mx omega square sine of omega t minus pi, c omega x cos of omega t minus pi, and kx sine of omega t minus pi is equals to f0 sine of omega t. Now if we consider, there are two terms of sine. So this is first term, that is minus mx omega square sine of omega t minus pi and kx sine of omega t minus pi. So there are two terms of sine of omega t minus pi. So we are combining these two terms. So in bracket, if we take common sine of omega t minus pi and x, so x sine of omega t minus pi, if we take common, so in bracket it becomes k is positive term and minus m omega square is negative sum. So k minus m omega square. So I will repeat that step again. So this, in this two term, that is first term mx omega square sine of omega t minus pi and kx sine omega t minus pi. In both term there is common term, that is x sine of omega t minus pi. So we are taking the common x sine of omega t minus pi. So in bracket मध्ये काय राहिलं? This is plus k and this is minus m omega square. So it is k m minus omega square sine of omega t minus pi. Now remaining term are same, that is c omega plus c omega square, sorry, plus c omega x cos omega t minus pi is equals to f0 sine of omega t. Now this is the most, next step is your most important term. So k m omega square x, it is same. Now sine of omega t minus phi. Now this is the mathematical equation where that is called as sine a minus b. Now what is sine a minus b? It is sine a cos b minus cos a sine b. So in that condition, the omega t is your a and phi is your b. So sine a is nothing but the sine omega t, cos b is nothing but the cos phi. So sine a into cos b minus cos a. So cos a is cos omega t into sine b. So sine phi. So we have formulated this term from sine omega t minus phi. So sine omega t minus phi means sine a minus b is nothing but the sine a cos b minus cos a sine b. Similarly, we have to use formula cos a minus b. Now cos a minus b formula is cos a cos b plus sin A sin B. It is the formula for cos A minus B. You have to take in your mind that the formula for sin A minus B is sin A cos B minus cos A sin B. And formula for cos A minus B is cos A cos B plus sin A sin B. So if we take this formula, so we get now C omega x is a common term. So we are taking this C omega x as same. Now cos omega t is cos A cos B. That is cos omega t cos phi. Sin omega t sin phi is equals to f0 sin of omega t. So this is simply term. Now in that condition, we have to taken the again common terms. Now what are common terms? So I will put this common terms as. So first common terms, it is sin omega t in this equation, in this whole equation. In this whole equation, we have to take a constant term as sin omega t. This is first. Again, there is also a sin omega t in that equation. So from that, we have to take a sin omega t from that equation also. So if we take sin omega t common, so what will happen? So k minus m omega square into cos phi. It is the first term because sin omega t is common. So we have to multiply this term with this whole term. So k minus m omega square into cos phi and into sin omega t is the common term. So it is becomes k minus m omega square cos phi. Now again in second, this c omega x. Now we have to multiply this c omega x with sin omega t sin phi. So that becomes sin omega t common gets that becomes c omega x sin phi. So it is c omega x sin phi. Now similarly, we have to take common term as cos omega t. We have to take a common term cos omega t. So if we take cos omega t common, so k minus m omega square x into sin phi. So this is minus term because this is minus. So we have taken minus k m minus omega square x sin phi. And c omega t cos phi, it is the positive term. So this is c omega x cos phi, which is equals to sin omega t. Now, if we take the left hand side, there is term in terms of sin omega t, some constant is there and sin omega t. Again, cos omega t, there is some constant plus some constant is there and cos omega t. So this is the left hand side. But in right hand side, there is f0 sin of omega t, and this we can write plus 0 into cos of omega t. We can write 0 into cos of omega t. So we can write this 0 into cos of omega t. So if we compare left hand side terms and right hand side terms of omega t and cos omega t. Now if you will compare sin omega t terms, so this is your sin omega t terms. So that is k minus m omega square into x cos phi plus c omega x sin phi, and in that it is the term f0. So this is sin omega t terms. So what is this sin omega t terms? If you compare this, so we get this term because sin omega t gets cancelled. So we get this term, that is k minus m omega square x cos of omega cos phi plus c omega x sin phi is equals to f0. And if we compare cos omega t terms, so we get c omega x cos phi minus k m minus k minus m omega square sin phi is equals to 0 because this term is 0 in second, that is in right hand side. So this is number equation number 8 and 9. So This is equation number 8 and 9. Now we will start with our equation number 9. Now what is your equation number 9? C omega x cos phi, C omega x cos phi minus k minus m omega square x sin phi. So we will take this term into this side. So we get C omega x cos phi is equals to k minus m omega x sin phi. Now in that condition, x's get cancelled because they are common. Now this cos term becomes this side, so that becomes sin phi upon cos phi, and this k minus m omega square goes to this side, so that becomes C omega x upon k minus m omega x. So x get cancelled. So we get sin phi upon cos phi, it is tan phi. So tan phi is equals to C omega upon k minus m omega. So this is the tan phi. Now from that we get the phase angle phi is equals to tan inverse of C omega upon k minus m omega square. So inverse one. So phi is equals to tan inverse of C omega upon k minus m omega square. So from equation number 9, we get the value of phi. And similarly from equation number 8, we get the value of x. So we have to find out two constant, x and phi. So these are the two constants. So from equation number 9, we get the phase angle phi, that is first constant. Now next, from equation number 9, we have to find out the value of x. So what is your equation number 9? So your equation number 9 is k minus m omega square, x me common घेतो. So k minus m omega square cos phi plus c omega cos phi sin phi into x is equals to f0. I have taken x common. So x is equals to f0 upon, we have to, whole term goes to this side into dividation. So we get the value of x is equals to f0 upon k minus m omega square cos phi plus c omega sin phi is equals to, this is the equation number 12. Now we get the value of phi and x. Now there are two important terms. There are the terms cos phi and sin phi. So we have to determine the value of the term sin phi and cos phi. Now for that, we have to use the term that is nothing but the, we have to draw a diagram. So your tan phi term is important. So what is tan phi? C omega. Now what is tan phi? It is opposite side. So C omega is your opposite side, and k minus m omega, it is your adjacent side. So because tan phi is nothing but the opposite side upon adjacent side. So opposite side is C omega term. So this is your opposite side of triangle, and this is your adjacent side of triangle, and angle of triangle is phi. So if we consider this term in terms of diagram, so we get this diagram, that is tan phi. So angle is your phi. So this is angle phi. Now opposite side is C omega. So this is your opposite side C omega. This is your adjacent side. So what is your adjacent side? K minus m omega square. And we have to find from opposite side and adjacent side. From, now this is 90-degree angle. So we can get your hypotenuse as square root of k minus m omega square bracket square plus c omega bracket square. So this is your hypotenuse. Now we know that tan phi is same, that is c omega upon k minus m omega square. Now from that we can find out the value of sin phi and cos phi. Now we get the value of sin phi as, sin phi is opposite side, so c omega upon hypotenuse, it is square root of k minus m omega square whole bracket square minus c omega plus c omega whole bracket square. And cos phi is again same, k minus m omega square square root of k minus m omega square bracket square plus c omega square. Now we have to put value of sin phi and cos phi in equation number 12. So we have to put this value of sin phi and cos phi in equation number 12. So this is your equation number 12. We have to put this value of cos phi and sin phi in that equation. So what is equation? X is equals to, we have to put the value of cos phi and sin phi in that equation. This is equation number 12. So what is your equation? X is equals to f0 upon k minus m omega square. Now we have to put the value of cos phi either plus c omega. We have to put the value of sin phi. So after putting, what will happen? So after putting value, we get x is equals to f0 upon k minus m omega square. It is same, and there is value of that is k minus m omega square, and there is a value of cos phi. So we have to put the value of cos phi. So what is the value of cos phi? We have to put the value of cos phi. So k minus m omega square. Now cos phi value is k minus m omega square upon square root of k minus m omega square plus c omega square. Now similarly, there is a term c omega, and we have to put the value of sin phi. So c omega into sin phi term is c omega upon square root of this. Now denominator is common, that is square root of k minus m omega square bracket square plus c omega. Again this is same. So we have to add these two terms. So k minus m omega square into k minus m omega square plus c omega into c omega. So what will happen? It becomes k minus m omega square whole square after, and this c omega into c omega becomes c omega square. So after adding, we get k minus m omega square plus c omega square. Now it is square and there is square root. So one square root get cancelled. So this denominator square root get cancelled. So in this term, there become square root value. So what will happen? We get the value of x is equals to. So after simplifying the terms, we get f0 is equals to, sorry, x is equals to f0 upon k minus m omega square whole bracket square plus c omega square divided by square root of k minus m omega square plus c omega square. Now in that, this term get cancelled and this square root term goes to this side. So we get value of x is equals to f0 upon square root of k minus m omega square upon c omega square. Now if we divide numerator and denominator by k, so we get the final equation for x as the final equation of x as f0 upon k. We have divide numerator and denominator by k. So we get f0 upon k 1 minus m omega square upon k whole bracket square plus c omega upon k whole bracket square. Now we know that what is m omega square upon k. So if m goes to this side denominator, so we know that the value of k by m is omega n, and other in numerator there is omega square. So omega square upon omega n, that is nothing but the omega upon omega n square. So this is the term m omega square upon k. We can write as omega upon omega n square. Similarly, c omega k, we can write this term as c by cc into cc by cc into omega upon k. Now we can multiply and divide by cc to this term. So after multiply and divided by cc, now we know that c by cc is zeta. Now the value of cc is 2 square root of k by m into omega divided by k. Now this k cancel and square root terms goes to this side. And if we this square root m is goes to numerator, so that becomes square root m by k. So this square root m by k is equals to omega. Now if we take to denominator this term, so that becomes square root of k by m. Now what is square root of k by m? It is omega n. So your term becomes 2 zeta omega upon square root of k by m. Now square root of k by m is nothing but the omega n. So c omega upon k, it becomes 2 zeta omega upon omega n. So we have to put the value of omega m omega square upon k as omega upon omega n square, and we have to put the c omega upon k as 2 zeta omega upon omega n. So if we put this equation in equation number x, and we have to put in equation number 5. So if we put the value of m omega square upon k and c omega upon k in equation number star, that is equation number 14. So we get the value of x as, this is the final equation, the f0 upon k square root of 1 minus this m omega square upon k, that is nothing but the omega upon omega n square, and whole bracket square, plus 2 zeta omega upon omega n whole bracket square. So this f0 upon k, it is called as static deflection. So we have taken this as xst. So this is called as static deflection. So this is the f0 upon k, it is xst. So we can put the value of f0 upon k, it is xst, and xst is called as steady state deflection or static deflection. So this is your displacement. Now we can similarly, we can find out the phi. So what is phi value? xst is equals to f0 upon k. So it is called as deflection due to the force f0, or it is also called as zero frequency deflection, or it is also called as static deflection. That is the value of xt. Now we have to find out the value of phase angle. So what is phase angle? We know that tan phi is equals to c omega upon 1 minus k minus m omega square. Now k need divide kara, so we get c omega upon k 1 minus m omega square upon k. So phi becomes tan inverse of 2 zeta omega upon omega n 1 minus omega upon omega n. So your particular integral is xp is equals to x sine of omega t minus phi. So you have to put the value of x and phi to get the value of xp. So by analytical method, we get the particular integral value as xp is equals to f0 upon k sine of omega t minus phi, k same square root of 1 minus omega upon omega n square whole bracket square plus 2 zeta omega upon omega n whole bracket square. In that, the value of phi will be tan inverse of 2 zeta omega upon omega n 1 minus omega upon omega n square. So this is the analytical method. So this analytical method is require a lot of basic concept of mathematics, some differentiate concept. So from that we can find out the particular integral xp, and after whole equation we can write x is equals to xp plus xc plus xp. So we have to add this xc term, that is complementary function, and we have to add this particular integral function to get the displacement in case of force damped vibration with constant harmonic excitation. So this is all about today's lecture. Thank you.